Hello my friends, welcome to Talk to Me Tuesday for Tuesday, July 23rd, 2019. This is Jennifer. Before I start talking about my stuff, I did want to give you a little recap on the two Linus quilts that I showed you last week. Those were tops donated by Christy. She messaged me on Instagram and asked if I'd like them for Linus, and I said of course, and she sent them. I got them all quilted. One of them I did a wavy line, the other I did a meander. The backs came from my stash. The green polka dotted back was actually the leftover fabric from my Rainbow Cascade. That's what I used on the back of that quilt, and also the binding for that quilt. And then the other back were just pieces from my stash, and I used the binding on that was a solid that Alita had sent me earlier this year. She sent me a whole bunch of fabric earlier, and I cut a bunch of it into 2.5 inch strips, so I just went through my 2.5 inch strips and that worked, so that's what I used. I also got some mail from Julie. She sent me some Project of Doom pieces. There are actually a couple blocks, and then like these are pieces of blocks that just need some books to go with them. And I basically keep a running bag of all of the orphan blocks that I have received that are specifically Project Doom. I keep them all together so that when it's time, when I'm in the mood, I pull them out and I'll sort through and I'll find enough to make a top. And sometimes I need to make some more books, and sometimes I'll pull random things from other orphan blocks. Last year I did one that had the car from Supernatural and a bunch of other just little random things that I just stuck on the shelf. So thank you, Julie, for these. These will go in with my orphan blocks. And since we're talking about orphan blocks, we can talk about the quilt top that is behind me. You may notice that my Star Trek rows are no longer on the wall. I went ahead and took them down because I was having, we'll just call it a week. I was having a week last week, and I had a day where I really needed to work on something that had nothing to do with anything. So I pulled out some orphan block bags at random, and I had a bunch that were left from when I went to retreat with Jules last year, and one of those bags was black and red and white and teal, and I didn't quite have enough blocks, so I went through all the new blocks that I got this year during my big orphan block drive, and also my own orphan blocks, and between those two things I managed to get enough to make a good sized quilt. So the hearts, like this heart and this heart down here, and the stars, those were already in the bag, and I had a couple of pieces of teal fabric already in the bag. I had some black and white already in the bag, and then I pulled these two stars, the one in the center. Those were from a bunch that Rainey sent me. She actually sent me a whole set of blocks that would have made a perfectly wonderful quilt, but those two blocks worked so well with these that I just decided to mix them up. At first I wasn't sure if I was going to keep the teal, but when I saw the teal in this block, I decided to go ahead and keep the teal sashing and work with that. This is a Talk to Me Tuesday block. This is a Talk to Me Tuesday block. This is a Talk to Me Tuesday block. And I thought I had some from Susan, but Susan says no. So I'm not sure where the other ones came from. They may have come from Sarah in Houston. So Sarah, if you recognize any of these, let me know. And then this block, that is my hearts all around. That's actually a free pattern on Sew Hooked. So if you like that one, you can go nab that. But anyway, I did get it all pieced and put together. Some of the blocks I had to increase the size. Some of them I cut down a little bit. I ended up making them all into 12.5 inch blocks and then doing sashing with cornerstones just because I thought it would look great. And all the teal was really scrappy, so I didn't want to have, a giant piece here and a giant piece there. I just decided I would just cut it all up and then mix it all up. So this will most certainly be a Linus quilt once I get around to quilting it. Speaking of Linus, Linus was indeed on Saturday, and I did something I almost never do. I brought home some fabric. This is absolutely true. I almost never bring home Linus fabric because I have plenty of my own, and a lot of people send me fabric in the mail, and I keep it separate in a bin, actually 2 bins that say Linus fabric, and that's what I use for my Linus quilts. I either use mine or I use the stuff people have sent me. But I couldn't resist this palette. We're very fortunate that we get a lot of sales samples. One of our volunteers is very well connected, and she gets us a lot of the samples once the salespeople who sell to the quilt stores are done with them. So we get a lot of stuff that looks like this, where it's got a header on it, and this is like the collection. My intention for this is to use what I have here to make a disappearing 9 patch with sashing. One of our volunteers did a demo a few months ago. It was a disappearing 9 patch, but what she did was she makes the 9 patch, and then when you cut it up, instead of just turning it, she puts sashing in between, and then she assembles the block, and it makes an entirely different sort of look. And because there's not a whole lot of this, I thought that'd be a really good way to use this up and create a top. I have a lot of solids in my stash, so That's my plan, is to put some solids with this to create a disappearing 9 patch. I have no idea what it's going to look like when I'm done, but you guys will certainly be the first to know. Starting tomorrow, it will be our final week of Quilt Your Own Adventure on Fandom and Stitches. It has been a really unusual quilt along. I know that people have kind of trickled in to participate, which is fun, and you guys keep it going. Go as long as you want. I've said it before, I'll keep saying it. The worksheet, the reason I created that is people ask me all the time how to organize a project. That's what it's for. So even if you didn't do Quilt Your Own Adventure, this entire event was just so I could give you that worksheet. So you guys have fun with that, build as many projects out of it as you want, and definitely share, because you guys know I love seeing your show and tell. Tomorrow is the week 12 post. I do have a prize that I'm giving away on the Fandom and Stitches Facebook group. You have to be in the Facebook group, and you have to share a photo of your Quilt Your Own Adventure progress. If you're participating in the event, that's the whole point. That's why I'm giving prizes away, is to encourage you to share those pictures. Prize is a rainbow of a fabric bundle. I'm not calling it fat quarters because some of them are bigger and some of them are smaller, but it is a rainbow of fabric. Wait, there's one hiding. There we go. And then, of course, our usual Fandom and Stitches goodies. And I added something not in the original picture because I picked up some Shout samples. They were clearing these out at my grocery store, and I bought like a half a dozen of them. So I will give away samples when I give away quilts too. So I thought this would be a nice addition to the prize. And now that we're talking about Fandom and Stitches, I have to mention once again that we are about to start a brand new quilt along. On August 7th, we will begin the Rankin Bass Holiday Special quilt along. We have a slew of new patterns. We are revisiting some of our old Rankin and Bass. We had quite a few of Rudolph patterns, requests every single year for Rankin Bass patterns. So we're hoping that we will fill that need. There will be enough blocks now to make not one quilt, but 2 quilts if you want. And it's going to be a really, really fun event. The patterns that our designers have created are fantastic. There will, of course, be a design invitational, and I will be telling you all about that on Fandom and Stitches next week. Yes, next week I will be telling you all about it on Fandom and Stitches, and we will be starting on August 7th. So that is going to be it for me, you guys. I've had, as I said, a week, and I'm hoping this week will be less of a week. And my son's going to be coming home next week for a couple weeks, so I'm really, really looking forward to that, because as you know, this is my first summer ever with no kids at home, and it's been super weird. So I'm looking forward to seeing him for a couple weeks, and I've got 1,000,001 things to do because everything always happens at the same time. So anyway, I'm going to keep smiling and keep quilting and keep just trying to have a good day, because that is the point. You guys have a wonderful week. Have a crafty week. I'll see you next week. Bye.